Hello everyone and welcome back to Frank Film Club. This week I am hosting and I have chosen for us to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was written and directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, and they are collectively known as the Daniels, which is very handy. Well done for that. Thank you. But before we get into all of that, how have you guys been? What have you been up to this week?
Not much, just been working, going for a swim, doing the van, the usual. Yeah. What about you, Han?
I've been busy. I've been going to the theatre, cinema. I'm learning Welsh, by the way.
Oh, wow.
That's actually the main thing. So forget about all the other stuff. I'm learning Welsh at the moment. So diolch yn fawr iawn, really. It's going all right, as you can tell.
I love it.
Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I've been really good. I've been learning how to skateboard.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been taking that up.
Love that.
Which
Where do you do it?
well, I just do it on like a little piece of patio that I found near my house.
Like tricks?
Yeah, well, sort of. I want to try and like skate along, but I have just been learning to ollie at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
That's
going good.
fun.
That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, you're cool.
Well, I'm not very good at it, but I want to be one day. So as I am cool. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I
Try my
have a
best.
skateboard to try be cool, but I can't do anything on it. But I've just got it as a prop
Yeah.
in my room.
And your
Well, I know what you're going to be doing next week.
Skateboarding?
Learn skate.
Ollieing.
Ollieing. So today we're talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, as I said, was written and directed by the Daniels, and it was co-produced with the Russo brothers, who are kind of like the Marvel Universe alumni. They've done directed 4 Marvel movies. This is an incredible movie. I've watched it like 3 times now. I love it so much. First in the cinema and then on my laptop twice. And it's just brilliant. The story follows a character called Evelyn Kwan Yang, as she is late for filing her tax return. But it also spans multiple different universes and is focused also on her daughter and their relationship. So it's kind of everything everywhere all at once. It does exactly what it says on the title, which is what I love the most about this film. But I wanted to know, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, I watched this in the cinema as soon as it came out, and I was audibly gasping in the cinema when, when all the flicky of, all of the stuff coming up on screen of her in the multiple universes.
Yeah.
I was like, my mind was blown. So I'm so glad I went to see it in the cinema. And I was really taken with it when I first watched it, especially the mother-daughter relationship. However, when I came out of the cinema, I was like, I loved that, but I didn't know what was going on fully with the different universes and all of that stuff. And then when I rewatched it, that slotted into place. And now I feel like I've got like this space in my heart for this film. I just think it is perfection. It is one of my favourite films.
I've heard a lot of people say that it's gone straight to a top, in like their top 10 or whatever. And yeah, like I really, really love this film. I was actually really emotional after watching it the first time. I feel like I watched it and then I went outside and it was like a really weird sunset and like everywhere was red and I was like, oh my God, this is like the weird. I just felt really weird and then I just was crying for like half an hour in like the best way, like because I was like, oh, it's so nice to like feel something so deeply from a film. However, when I watched it again, because it is a lot.
Find it stressful?
I found it a bit stressful the second time.
Yeah, I can
but
understand that.
but I still think I love the film. What did you think? What were your first thoughts?
Well, I knew nothing about the actual story going into it, and I had just seen people's reactions. I assumed it was going to be like really scary or something or overwhelming, and so when I got in the cinema, I sort of had prepared myself for that. I hadn't imagined that it would be so full of love and so heartwarming and so emotional and just so just such a defining movie about like life itself. And I think at the core, at its heart, it had this incredible mother-daughter relationship and story arc. And I found that to be incredibly impactful. What did you guys think of the two of them?
Stephanie Sue is an absolute revelation. I think she is incredible. Michelle Yeoh has always been incredible, but like those two together, there was just so many moments that feel so specific to a mother-daughter relationship, and that thing of like trying to understand your teenage daughter and them not understanding themselves, and that break, what happens there, and then trying to get back to like some remnants of a relationship or whatever. That for me was like a punch in the stomach, and it's just so well done. I just thought they were so amazing together.
The other character is called Jobu Tupaki.
Jobu Tupaki. Oh yeah, that she plays.
Yeah. When she plays.
How good was her costume, by the way?
Her costume.
So good. So good.
The best dressed antagonist of a film ever.
Yeah.
So good.
So it's really interesting when they were doing some early test screenings of this film. So much of the story really hinges on when you see them in the first universe that we sort of like come into when we see their storyline. Once they started to rush into all of these other universes, audiences' initial reaction was that they didn't realize it was going to be about the daughter so much. And so something had like kind of missed in like that early, like the first universe storyline. There was one scene that was not in that original edit that they went back, campaigned for more money so as they could go back and shoot one scene with Stephanie, with Joy. I wondered if you guys could guess like what it is from that very first sequence. We're talking like first 15 minutes of this movie.
Yeah. I can't even think. I really want to try to think. I don't know.
I feel like when I say it, you guys are going to like have loved the shot. It's that one shot when Joy is driving in her car crying. Just hold.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that
Yeah,
shot?
after
Like,
she says,
right
"You
after
put
she
on
says,
weight."
yeah, you're getting fat. And then you see her just driving alone in her car crying.
God, that's great
Oh,
to add that
Just
in.
that one shot, and people realize, it's about the fact that these two characters don't understand one another but love each
Yeah.
other so deeply.
It's quite
God,
upset.
isn't that funny that one moment like that, like we're also the details, and this film is just so good at details, but the details that we stress about in filmmaking, yeah, it's only a second. It's important.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
important.
Yeah, those like, and sometimes it's not saying it, it's seeing it. Like those little pieces start to like build the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, this movie was made on like a fraction of the cost of like most movies of this scale. I wondered if you guys could guess how much was spent to make Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, what is an average superhuman world Marvel situation film cost?
For reference,
Yeah.
The Matrix, which was made in 1999, which I would say is a pretty good parallel for this film, cost $63 million US.
Maybe 40 then.
40 million US dollars.
Yes.
Maybe 30 because I feel like it must be low, but yeah, 30.
25.
Wow. VFX is so expensive. That is mad.
So incredible in this day and age.
That is really mad.
So, yes, a little bit more about like the making of this film. First and foremost, the script. Like, how did they sort of like show all of these montages in the script? Because then from the script you start to like break that down, and then you can build the budget, and then you can build the schedule, and then from that you figure out how you're going to shoot all of this. Most of those montage moments where it flicks through all of the different universes were just like different lines within the same scene. But that meant that because they didn't want to have to just format a million different scenes for like literally a couple of frames or even a single frame of that scene. They didn't want to overshoot, basically. So they would just have like every single universe listed and like what happens in like the different universes, and that would be like the montage scene. And then the script editor would have to, the script supervisor would have to go away and sort of break that down into more official things. But in order to make it work, they started with locations. So once they locked somewhere in, they went back to all of the rest of the montage pieces and thought, what else can we shoot in this one place while we're here? And when we say what else can we shoot, it's not like let's see what we get on the day. It's like let's get these very, very, very specific moments. If we're gonna do Rakakuni, like this is the 3 like story beats that we need to get. I'm paraphrasing an interview that I heard with the Daniels, but and they would get those very, very, very specific shots, and then they would move on to the next thing, and they wouldn't sort of explore it any further. Like they would get what they needed and they would like move on. These guys come from a music video background, which is like, this is the way that music videos have to be made because they're such small budgets.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. I can't even imagine what their their schedule looked like and continuity. Like, how long did that take? I would like to know the answer to that. I don't know if you know the answer to that.
What, how many shoot days?
How many shoot days? How much prep also? And yeah, everything.
I actually don't know how long they officially prepped for, but a couple of ADs approached this and dropped out because they were just like, they read the scripts and said, I just can't do this. Finally, they had an AD that stuck and was like, we're going to do this. It's a lot, but like, we're going to make it work. They shot for 39 days. Fun fact, they actually spent 4 days shooting The Rocks.
That's really what?
It was 39 days of filming and then the extra 4 days, 43 days, including The Rocks, because it was like this crazy heat wave. And I think it was like kind of like, they weren't really like formally on the schedule. I think they just like went and shot The Rocks, but it ended up being more complicated.
That's quite funny. I mean, it did move.
Sort of move.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it was like that whole shtick of it.
That is still quite hilarious.
But
though.
it's like one of the greatest parts of the movie. I think.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
so important.
I feel like I do watch a lot of videos now that I know that just from like knowing the people that have made it, that they wouldn't have had much money, but like the like skill that some people have now, and also like the technology, and if people know how to use it, then like it works and you can make things look like top notch if you know how to use the tools, and they obviously really, really do know how to use all the tools.
Like large part creativity, much more larger part dedication, also finding the team who all really, really understand what they're trying to do. Because if somebody doesn't get it, i.e. Hannah, who went to watch the film and was like, multiple universes, I don't get it. If somebody's like, if I came on and I didn't have the second watch or the second read of the script maybe, then everybody needs to know exactly what is going on, and then you're not just shooting this scene with a raccoon on the head for nothing, you know. Everything is detail that is important.
Yeah.
A little fact about when they were like shooting, every day with the crew they would have a group warm-up exercise, and it just started with the Daniels. Like they would host something, and it would be things that they learn at like film school or whatever. For example, like yoga and like calisthenics.
Calisthenics,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, what's this? I don't know what it is.
It's like aerobic.
Yeah, but like it's all about the way, like the form of which you move your body, like no bad habits and no like things moving out of sync, like everything.
She sits up.
But then they also did one which was like slow motion fighting, and so you have to do like a real battle, and the crew are all like together in the morning, and they have to all like slow motion fight one another, but like make it look realistic, like not try and win, but just like, and not, you're not allowed to hit anyone or touch anyone, but you have to do like a slow motion battle, and it's just like something every single day to get everyone in together.
That's really fun.
But then different people in the crew wanted to like join in, and they were like, I want to take a class, like I want to teach everyone something. So I think Jamie Lee Curtis at one point did a jazzercise. But I think that it really brought everyone together, so they were on the same page, and it didn't really matter how difficult like the day was going to be or how much they had to get done. I think like at the heart, everyone was on the same side, and they had like the same goal, which was to like complete this crazy movie and treat every single shot, no matter how fleeting, as like important as the next.
had the Daniels worked together quite a few times before? What was their relationship like before this?
Yes. So the Daniels have come from a career in making music videos together, but they also did a narrative-based short film which was called Puppets, which I haven't seen, but from what I can gather, uses the same kind of like silly, childish toilet humor type thing. And when they were making it, they were thinking, this is like so weird. Like, who's going to watch this? Why are we doing this? And then it actually ended up doing really well. And so they were like, we're not sure what this style of filmmaking is that we've created, but like it works and people like it. And so they had been developing Everything Everywhere All at Once for like, I think over 10 years or something. What were some of your favorite ways that they hopped universes?
Oh, well, the obvious one is that. Do you know the so you know the award thing?
Oh,
And he jumps on it with his bare ass,
Yeah.
and you can buy
The butt plug.
the butt plug award, and you can also buy like googly eyes. There's also a book that this will come out after Warren's birthday, but I bought Warren a book which is about multi-universe, and it's like about, anyway, there's some really good stuff on the A24 shop, and you can get the
oh,
butt plug award.
cool. Nice.
So you will be getting that for Christmas, both of you.
Love it.
The worst one for me was when she did the snot to Gong Gong, because I've got a real thing about snot.
That one I didn't mind.
Oh my God, why?
I don't know. That one really I
Didn't
was
bother
like,
me so
that
much.
actually didn't find that quite weird enough.
Okay.
Paper cut's awful. Yeah. Blow on his nose. So good.
Using that silly style, like you say, like it really works, and it's talking about like a really deep, meaningful thing. Like I came out of it crying. I think a lot of people have been really affected by this film, which is so like feels such a silly thing to say when you look at like the ingredients of this film, because it's like so silly and like. And I think, like, I've spoken to some people that were like, oh, no, we really didn't like this film for those reasons, because they were like, it was just like covering up a different story. But I was like, well, no, I think it's using these things to be like, to tell a story in like a more accessible way that people find entertaining. And I think it's really clever.
Can you pinpoint what made you emotional about it?
No, which is what I found so weird. It took me, I didn't cry immediately. I didn't cry in the film. I didn't cry immediately after. It was like the credits is finished, and then just like sat in the room and cried. It was like a little it was like a little bit of time after. So I don't know.
It struck a chord with me, especially because I think when you're younger and you don't feel understood, Warren actually said it felt like it was about teenage suicide, and that she was being pushed to the edge and she wanted to go. She wanted to leave because, I mean, she's trying to walk into the bagel at the end and she wants to end it all.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that makes sense. But she, I think it's just the way that she played it was so full of sadness that she was doing all of these things to lash out, and that somebody might see her as like this awful human being, and she just doesn't know who she is. And she doesn't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that when we think of these kind of like multi-universe or like, I don't know, like these kinds of movies that make you like think about like the world and how massive it all is, and like it's always kind of with this lens or this tinge of like pain at the end. Well, no, it's more just like the sense of fear at the end. But what I really loved about the like completion or like the climax of this movie was how you can't, like, all of these things can be seen as meaningless, and it can just be like we're on a floating rock and nothing matters. Or you can see like, no, because we're on a floating rock and because it could have been anything else, the fact that it's this is like so special. And it's just such a beautiful take on it, and it's just not something that people, it's not a take that I've really seen that often, and it just made me feel like those big fears about like life and our existence, all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it just made me feel like safe and like it's all gonna be okay. They had researched the concept for this movie as far back as 2010, so like 10 years ago. And they began penning a screenplay in 2016, and they had originally written it for Jackie Chan to play Michelle Yeoh's character. It's about a guy and maybe his son. I don't know about that, but it was supposed to be a guy at the center of it.
Mad.
How interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm
That
really
still would
glad.
have been great.
It would have
but-
been great. But it's so brilliant with Michelle.
I really love that this was a Chinese family and that they were speaking Chinese and that it felt like, I don't know, it just felt really great that didn't, I don't know, it just felt great that was the family that we were seeing. And I think they all played it really, really well.
Yeah, they are an amazing group of actors like that play the family. They were and so Jamie Lee Curtis as well. But that family as a ensemble, I thought were like, yeah.
Yeah, truly.
And so I'm really glad that wasn't it, because you don't see that type of character in that type of role and like doing like all this like these crazy fight scenes, which was so great. Like I actually preferred any fight scene where she was actually fighting. I loved watching her fight. I thought she was amazing. Maybe that's just because I'm not so used to seeing women fight when it's not in like a sexy way,
Yes.
because it like wasn't. It was just cool.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about them being like a seemingly normal looking family, but not in a like cute way. Yeah. What do you think the chapters?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a purpose for the everything, everywhere, all at once?
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether I...
That's true, actually. That was probably one part that I wasn't. I was like, I don't know that you needed that, but
Oh,
what did you think?
I thought, yeah, I really liked it. I liked how
Yeah.
it broke it up. I thought that when it was everywhere, we saw everywhere. And then when it was everything, we saw everything too. And then when it was all at once, it was like really crazy. But also, what about like the fake ending that happens?
Oh,
Yeah, that
so
was very
good.
funny.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that
good.
was good. And again, like adds to the silliness and just like the fact that the whole thing.
I
you
was
can just
heartbroken in the cinema. I was like, no, you can't end it there. I was looking at my brother and he's watched it like 5 times and he's going like,
You just went.
he's like nodding at me
Picking up his
like,
bag.
yeah, I know. And then when I watched it with Ruben, I was like, Ruben, you have to watch this. But we didn't watch it in the cinema. We watched it on the laptop. And he straight away started like pressing the screen to try and see if it was actually the end of the movie. I was going, yeah, no, that's the end. Yeah, it's the end. And then he touched it and I was like, see, now you've ruined it for both of us.
Because they do like commit to it quite a bit. Like they keep the credits going for like a little bit too long. So you are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, is it a joke? And then I was like, oh.
I guess what I want to try and figure out is like how the Daniels have managed to make something which it ticks like the action, the adventure, the like big budget cinema, like bums on seats, like epic boxes, and it's also so unbelievably emotional and like affecting, and how they managed to do that on 25 million when people don't do that very often. What is it about them, and what is it about what they've done that has just like set this apart from anything else, really?
I don't know the answer, but if they've been developing it for 10 years, like, I don't know how deep that development was, if it was something that they were working on all the time, or if it was something they would like come back to. But I'm learning a lot more. I mean, it's obvious, but like just how important it really is to develop a script, an idea, down to as much detail as this is.
So we haven't spoken a lot about the visual effects, but obviously visual effects is really expensive, and they didn't have a huge budget. So they cut a lot of corners. I think what they wanted to do is they use like a combination of things. They use a combination always of visual effects, practical effects, and then like cheating things. But they always had a combination of all three in every single shot. So nothing was entirely fake. Nothing was like trying to be entirely real and expensive. And so, for example, the lady with the dog. And then she's swinging.
Yeah.
It's just like a stuffed dog, and we know that.
Yeah.
But with this movie, like, we buy it enough, and plus they cut all of these crazy corners to like make that shot really like work.
That is so funny.
Yeah. And I suppose like Rakakuni
Yeah.
is like so obviously so fake.
Yeah.
But they've embraced that look and like it works.
What is Rakakuni? Is it like an animatronic? Like, is that what?
It's
How
a
you
really
say
good
it?
question. I actually don't know.
It's real, isn't it? It's not like
Yeah,
a puppet.
Maybe it's just like a puppet. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they were bold enough to do that, I've never seen that before. Maybe in music videos, yeah, but I've never seen someone like put that up on the big screen. And I think like what they have said is that they knew that like their visual effects was never going to compare to like what was on the market right now. So they had to come up with and commit to something that was like brand new and a look that was just like aesthetically theirs and like didn't try and like compete, but just like became brand new.
Mm.
And I really hope that that's like copied or emulated, because people don't get the budgets that they deserve, but it doesn't mean that they can't like attempt to tell these stories that are like out of this world.
And do it in another way.
Mm.
Like, I really love the scrappiness of that. I think that learning now more about how they made it makes me love it even more, because there's something about it not all being the usual trickery that makes it feel much more of like a creative endeavor.
Yeah. I think the way that they've done all these different things adds so much like texture to it as well, which is cool.
That's what this film like dares to do, is show all of the different universes running alongside each other, which like, I mean, we had that amazing image from NASA recently from that new telescope of like all of those galaxies in this like tiny little 10-pence piece in the sky, and it's like all of the galaxies there.
Mad.
So it could be
Yeah.
that this is happening.
There's
around
more.
us.
It's very overwhelming.
One day Wayman's going to come and we will all be grateful, because I love this universe. I like the way this is popping. But how fun would it be to see us in the other universes?
I'd like to be an opera singer. I want to
Really?
be in that universe,
That would be
Michelle
cool.
Yeoh universe.
Yeah.
Proper Welsh.
Where would you want to be?
Oh, what would I be up to? Maybe like something, maybe like a scientist of like a mad thing.
Maybe you would be like the Wayman who was like, you have to come now because the
Yeah.
galaxy is going to...
Yeah, that would be sick.
What would you be?
I
I feel like you're living in a good universe.
like
I
that.
feel like you've done pretty well.
I would be a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that one.
Just for a couple of days.
Just for
Yeah.
a couple of days. Give that a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your final thoughts about this movie?
This film is incredible. It's like, it's done incredibly. Everyone seems to love it. Like, most people seem to love it. And it doesn't even have a massive cast, which is amazing, because so often it's just like big name cast, that those are the films that get seen. So that's incredible. It's gone to a lot of people's top of their lists or in their top 10. And I'm glad, because it deserves it.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I feel like it's definitely, I'm one of those people. It's on the top of my, not right at the top, but it's definitely in there, which is interesting also, because if I think about the other films that might be up there for me, this feels very different in like genre. For something like this to make me feel just so deeply about it, when it also is just so entertaining, is such an achievement. And I really appreciate every single element and every single detail. Thanks, guys. What about you?
Yeah, I think that this is I probably went to like one of my top spots of my favorite films ever. I think it might be the top spot, because it like it hybrids everything that I love. Like I always loved The Matrix, but this is now like it's like replaced it actually, because it's just got something more,
Yeah.
and they made it for like a third of the price,
Yeah.
and that's just insane. They
Comic.
did so, yeah. I just think it's unlike anything I ever saw before, but in so many ways incredibly familiar.
Mm.
And I like that feeling that it gives me.
Well, I'm very glad you chose it
Me too.
for us to, well, rewatch.
Yeah.
Rewatch.
It's a rewatcher.
Yes. And get ready for your A24 Butt Plug Award gifts for Christmas.
Jesus.
Thank
thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a 5-star rating. Next week, it's Christmas, so we're going to be talking about the UK's favourite Christmas movie, Love Actually. And I'm going to be hosting it, and you can get it on Amazon Prime, and I'm sure it's playing on like ITV or something at the moment. So go and watch it, and we will see you here next week for more Frank Film Club. Bye. This podcast was presented by Wrapped.